an original podcast from podlatino.com.
It was the summer of 1936 when the people of Tepatitlan first noticed something strange in the air. A distant silence, like the absence of birds. The town of El Salto, a small village just a few kilometers south, hadn't sent their usual delegation to the weekly market. No carts, no children, no signs of activity.
At first, no one paid attention. El Salto was a quiet place, home to no more than 100 souls, mostly farmers and their families. But by the third week, curiosity turned into concern. A local priest, Father Agustin, decided to ride out and pay a visit. What he found would haunt him until the day he died. As he approached the village, everything appeared still, too still. The gates were open, the streets untouched, laundry hung dry on lines, unmoved by the breeze. Chickens wandered unattended, doors sat half-closed, creaking softly, but there was no one, no voices, no footsteps, no cries. El Salto had become a ghost town. He called out once, twice, no answer. Inside the homes, food was set on tables, beds were made, lamps remained full. It was as if everyone had simply stood up and walked away in the middle of life. No struggle, no blood, no signs of panic, just abandonment. Father Augustine returned to Tepatitlan pale and shaking. He told the authorities who organized a search. Soldiers came, investigators, priests from nearby towns. What they confirmed became one of the most confounding disappearances in Mexican history. An entire village had vanished, without explanation, without a trace. The census of El Salto listed 96 people. None were ever found. No graves, no bodies, no refugees arriving in neighboring towns. Their names were carved in church records. Their homes remained filled with their things, but the people themselves had evaporated. Rumors spread quickly. Some claimed there had been a gas leak from underground. Others whispered of a cult, of mass disappearance orchestrated by dark rituals. But no physical evidence supported any of these theories. The ground remained undisturbed. The wells were clean. The animals unfed, but alive. Months later, a traveling merchant passing through the highlands of Zacatecas reported finding a woman on a dirt road, barefoot and confused. She spoke only to say she was from El Salto and that the bells had called them. When questioned further, she became agitated, repeating the phrase until she collapsed. She died the next morning. Her identity was later confirmed as Elena Maria Gomez, age 32, resident of El Salto. Her body bore no signs of injury or illness. A doctor noted her heart simply stopped.
Years passed. The Mexican government eventually sealed off the village, citing environmental instability. But locals knew better. They had heard the legends for decades, of old bells ringing in the mountains, summoning people in their sleep, of voices that called from beyond the canyon, promising reunion with lost loved ones.
In 1952, a group of university students from Guadalajara broke into El Salto with cameras and notebooks, hoping to document the mystery. They never published their findings. One of them, Jorge Morales, later confided to a classmate that they had heard singing. Not recorded singing, but live, soft, wordless, coming from the church. But the church was empty. Its bell tower collapsed. Its altar cracked. In the 1970s, the Mexican military conducted a brief excavation near the riverbed behind the village. The official report stated they found nothing of significance. However, an anonymous letter published years later in an underground journal described something different. Footprints in a perfect circle, 96 pairs. In recent decades, El Salto has become a forbidden place. The structures remain, overgrown and slowly devoured by nature, but the silence persists. Not a peaceful silence, but a charged one, as if the village itself holds its breath. To this day, no one has been able to explain what happened to the people of El Salto. No records show a mass migration. No bones have been discovered. No graves have been dug. It remains one of Mexico's most enduring enigmas. What makes the story even more haunting is the pattern. Since 1936, 5 other villages across Latin America have experienced similar fates. Disappearances of entire populations, always in remote locations, always in silence, always leaving behind traces of life interrupted. The phenomenon has no official name. Paranormal scholars refer to them as silent villages. Some theorize about spatial folds, government experiments, or ancient curses. Others suggest collective suicide or ascension, but none of those theories can account for the total absence of evidence. What happened in El Salto is not just a story of the unexplained. It is a wound in the collective memory of a region shaped by myth and shadow. A reminder that not all ghosts are people. Sometimes entire places become phantoms, vanishing from maps, from records, from memory. And sometimes they come back. In 2001, a satellite image taken by a European mapping project briefly showed lights in El Salto, 3 to be exact, arranged in a perfect triangle in the town centre. By the time Mexican surveyors arrived on foot, the lights were gone. There were no generators, no batteries, no heat signatures, only the smell of burning wax. And in the old bell tower, now collapsed and buried under vines, one thing had changed. The iron bell, long believed to have been stolen, was hanging again. No rope, no rust, as if it had never left. They say that on quiet nights in the hills near Tepatitlan, you can still hear the faint ringing. Not loud, not urgent, just enough to make you turn your head. The bells of El Salto never needed to shout